Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to check the Eachine Viswhoop, a whoop-style micro quadcopter which is equipped with the Caddx Vista digital transmission system. In this video I'm going to quickly go over its features and specs, show you how to set it up, and test it both indoors and outdoors. In terms of packaging, along with the Viswhoop, you're getting a spare set of Gemfen 2540 tri-bladed propellers, a couple of spare spacers and screws, a plastic mount for the LIHV cherry antenna, a propeller extractor tool, a Phillips screwdriver and a hex key driver, and user manuals for the Caddx Vista and for the Eachine Viswhoop. In terms of specs, the Viswhoop is using 1204 5000 kV motors which can handle up to 4S Lipo batteries. There are spinning 2.5-inch Gemfen propellers which are protected by pretty fragile propeller guards which are identical to the ones which are being used by the Happy Model Larva X HD. On the front of the quadcopter, mounted inside its 3D printed parts, you can find the camera unit of the Caddx Vista digital transmission system. As you can see, its lens is partly exposed, so I recommend to consider using this type of protector, which is not provided inside the kit. On the center of the quadcopter, you can find an FO all-in-one flight controller, which came pre-flashed with Betaflight 4.1.1. It features an integrated BLLES 12A 4-in-1 ESC, and a built-in upgraded SPI-RX diversity receiver which supports both D16 and D8 protocols. On top of the flight controller, mounted to the top plate, you can find the Caddx Vista unit. It is powered directly by the battery pads, and the S-Bus output is connected to UART1, so in case you have the DJI Radio controller, you can use it instead of using the built-in SPI-RX receiver, which is going to dramatically increase its range. On the back of the quadcopter, you can find the LIHV cherry LHCP antenna, which is bundled with the Caddx Vista unit. It is secured using a zip tie to this 3D printed part, and since this is not a very elegant solution, I recommend to remove the zip tie and use two other zip ties in order to mount the provided adapter to the 3D printed part instead. The battery is intended to be mounted on the bottom side of the quadcopter, but if you'd like, you can also mount it on top of it. The manufacturer has already pre-inserted the battery Velcro strap to the bottom plate, and since you don't want these screws to be pushed against your battery, I recommend to use this type of battery pad, which unfortunately is not provided along with the Viswhoop. In addition, the Viswhoop is using an XT30 battery connector, which I recommend to secure to the arm using a zip tie. As for the frame, its wheelbase is 130mm. It's using a Squash X pattern. The arms extend beyond the motors in order to provide extra protection. The thickness of the bottom plate is 2.5mm, and the thickness of the top plate is 1.5mm. The weight of the Viswhoop without the battery is 118.8 grams. Including a 4S 850mAh Lipo battery, it weighs 222.6 grams. Including a 4S 550mAh Lipo battery, it weighs 190.4 grams. And including a 520mAh 4S LIHV battery, which is pretty much the only option which will enable you to stay below 250 grams, the total weight is 176 grams. I also tested the Viswhoop with a 1000mAh 3S Lipo battery, and in my experience it wasn't powerful enough, so I recommend to stick to 4S batteries. In order to set up the Viswhoop, you will need to connect the flight controller to your computer, then open up Betaflight and hit connect. Here you can see how the ports are configured. The serial RX switch is enabled on UART1, which is important if you are going to use the ready receiver option of the Vista, and the configuration/MSP switch is enabled on UART2 in order to enable you to view the telemetry data on your video feed. Here you can see the configuration tab. The bidirectional dashshot switch is enabled since by default the 4-in-1 ESC comes pre-flashed with Jazz Maverick 16.8 version. In addition, you can see that the motor direction is reversed, which is important when installing the propellers, and also that the board is rotated. I'm going to leave a link down below to Betaflight's default dump file, so in case things go wrong, you can revert to the original settings. By default, the built-in SPI-RX receiver is going to be set to Frsky D, which means that you will need to bind your radio controller using Frsky D8 protocol. If you'd like, you can change it to Frsky X, and then bind your radio controller using Frsky D16 protocol. And in case you would like to use the DJI radio controller, change the receiver mode to serial-based receiver, and the serial receiver provider should be set to S-Bus. In case you are going to use the built-in Frsky SPI-RX option, I recommend to use the D8 protocol option in case your radio controller supports it. And the easiest option to bind the radio receiver is to head over to the CLI tab on Betaflight and type bind_RX and press enter. Now the radio receiver is in binding mode, and now we can bind the radio controller with the radio receiver. A successful bind is going to be indicated by this LED flashing, and now we can see that all the sticks are working properly and define our favorite flight modes. Now in case you would like to use the Betaflight custom OSD option, you can define your favorite OSD elements. On a well-ventilated area, update the firmware of the Vista, which is going to be pre-activated for you. Apply the NACO power hack if you'd like to, by copying the NACO Txt file, which I'm going to include in the description box of this video, to the newly discovered drive, which is going to be discovered by a computer after connecting the DJI Vista to your computer and powering it up. And finally, bind the DJI goggles with the Caddx Vista. Now as you can see, we can see the video feed of the Viswhoop, and since the custom OSD option is turned on, we can also see the custom Betaflight OSD. The next thing that I've done is to test the Viswhoop outdoors and also in a large indoor space. After testing it out, I can tell you that the feature I was mostly impressed with is the flight time, as I got close to 8 minutes using an 850 mAh 4S battery. In terms of flight capabilities, I can tell you that it aligns with what you would expect from something at its weight class, and as you're about to see in the flight footage, there is plenty of prop wash, and it can probably use a better PID tuning. If you prefer performance over flight time, I recommend to use this battery, which should provide you with about 6 minutes of non-aggressive flight time. In terms of range, in case you're not going to use the DJI radio controller or add an external radio receiver, you're going to be limited by the built-in SPI-RX receiver, which even though in my experience performs better than other SPI-RX receiver which I've tested due to its diversity feature, is not going to get you too far. I got to a couple of 100 meters with no issues, but on the other hand I also got a failsafe at less than 200 meters. As for durability, I can tell you that even though I haven't crashed this quadcopter, this frame is not going to last for a long time since it is very flexible and these propeller guards are going to shatter easily. So what I recommend to do is to get an extra frame, but keep in mind that in case you would like to transfer all the parts of the Viswhoop to the new one, be noted that the all-in-one flight controller of the Viswhoop is using a 25 by 25 mm whoop style pattern, so you have to make sure to find a frame that supports it. One thing that I haven't tested, and I'm interested to know if it is something that you would like to see, is how the Viswhoop performs with an onboard action camera. So if you'd like to watch a separate video about it, please let me know in the comments section, and I will do my best to make it happen. Anyway, in my opinion, if you're looking for a mini quadcopter with a DJI digital transmission system that is going to enable you to capture cinematic shots, the Gapper C Cineron is a much better option, but unfortunately it costs almost double than the Viswhoop. If you're looking for something with a better performance and you don't care about carrying an action camera, you should check out the Transtech Beetle, and by the way, look out for my review of the mini version, which is going to be out in the next few days. So overall, especially if you already have the DJI radio controller, I think that the Eachine Viswhoop is going to be a good option if you're looking for a micro quadcopter that is going to enable you to digitally explore your area and you're not going to push it too hard, since it is going to provide you with plenty of flight time and it is well priced. I'm going to wrap up this video with some flight footage. I hope you will enjoy the rest of this video, and as always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments section down below. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up if you like this video, and consider subscribing to my channel and hitting the notifications bell if you're not already subscribed. See you in my next videos, and goodbye.